นะครับลำดับต่อไปนะครับเรามีผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิอีกท่านหนึ่งนะครับในระดับภูมิภาคนะครับที่จะมาร่วมแลกเปลี่ยนนะครับเกี่ยวกับพลวัตการเปลี่ยนแปลงทางเทคโนโลยีนะครับที่เชื่อมต่อไม่เพียงผู้คนนะครับรวมถึงสังคมเข้าด้วยกันนะครับแต่วันนี้เนี่ยวิถีชีวิตของผู้คนล้วนเกี่ยวข้องกับเทคโนโลยีเหล่านี้นะครับโดยเฉพาะเทคโนโลยีที่เกี่ยวกับการเงินนะครับซึ่งที่ผมกล่าวมาทั้งหมดเนี่ยครอบคลุมไปถึงการบริการของ One Connect Financial Technology ด้วยนะครับซึ่งผู้บรรยายในวันนี้นะครับเธอเป็น CEO ของ One Connect Financial Technology นะครับมีหน้าที่รับผิดชอบในการขยายขอบเขตทางภูมิศาสตร์ของโซลูชันเทคโนโลยีทางการเงินนอกประเทศจีนนะครับเมื่อไม่นานมานี้นะครับเธอได้รับเลือกเป็นหนึ่งในผู้นำฟินเทค100 อันดับแรกในเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้นะครับและในวันนี้นะครับเราจะได้ฟังมุมมองของเธอเกี่ยวกับความสามารถในการขับเคลื่อนนะครับการเปลี่ยนแปลงเทคโนโลยีในยุคนี้นะครับLadies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to invite CEO of One Connect Financial Technology, Miss Tan Bin Lu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sawadika. This is the only Thai that I know. Good afternoon. So earlier was ex-Microsoft. So I was also in Microsoft when the share price was $25. I left Microsoft when the share price hit $100. Now it's $130, right? So, and a lot of people ask me why I left Microsoft. Today I'm going to tell you why. Since I'm going to explain a little bit about how Ping An and how Ping An evolved to digitize. I spent all my years in HP helping HP to digitize and expand to Southeast Asia. I did the same with Microsoft, expansion of Microsoft into Southeast Asia. And that decided that I had enough about telling people to digitize and change. I would like to lead the transformation myself. So, and the Chinese are in the forefront of the digitization, you know. So if you want to really do the implementation, you join a Chinese company. I have a lot of slides. Before I start, I do apologize first that I'm not speaking in Thai. So if you do have, I'm going to slow down in speaking. So and then we rather do lesser slides, but then you are able to then better understand me. I would like to know how many bankers are here. Just a show of hands, how many bankers? Okay, actually not a lot. And how many from the insurance industry? Actually not a lot. Okay, so all of you are probably business executives not in the financial institution space. Then in that case, you're gonna, maybe then we can focus a little bit on some of the solutions that's more relevant to what you want to see. But let's start with the Ping An introduction first. How many people have heard of Ping An actually? Okay, so at least you have heard of Ping An. So we're 30 years old, and a lot of people felt, we're known as a financial institution that has transformed ourselves successfully. And you know, many banks, many financial institutions, they focus on their core business, they find it very hard to digitize. And then the fintechs are doing very well, right? So a lot of times, you feel that you're going through a lot of challenges. So Ping An has been showcased as a financial institution that has successfully transformed itself. But if you ask us, Ping An is only 30 years old, Alibaba is 20 years old, so we're just 10 years older than Alibaba. We're very lucky because a lot of financial institutions has maybe 100 years of legacy. The difficulty is definitely different comparing that to China. So we're the first insurance company in China. And then you can see the size, we're the #1 global market cap. In all global insurers, we're #1 in market cap. Our revenue, our assets is Singapore dollars, sorry about that, Singapore dollars 1.4 trillion dollars. So you know Microsoft just hit $1 trillion in asset size recently, so Ping An is slightly above Microsoft. And then revenue-wise, we are $216 billion, which is about US, maybe about 200 or 180 billion US dollars. Okay, And over the last 30 years, we've seen exponential growth due to two reasons. One in investment in technology, and the second due to China doing very well in the last 50 years. We're also number 29 on the Fortune 500. And I think Microsoft is number 60 or 70 on the Fortune 500, and then Alibaba is about 182 on the Fortune 500. If you don't know this person, he is in China. There are three Ma's that is very popular, right? So the most popular one is, of course, Jack Ma from Alibaba. Then there is Xiaomi's Tony Ma, and then for us, our favorite is Peter Ma from the Ping An Group, right? So Peter is still around and very active with the Ping An organization today. He's age 63. He started as a general manager in the social insurance group. And he's the one who lobbied China to start the first insurance company in China. So this is the history in the last 30 years. The first 10 years were only insurance. Were the first Chinese company to start using a computer. Were the first Chinese company to start bringing in foreign investment. And 30 years ago, China is in a communist kind of stage. At that time, if you want to bring in foreign investments, Western practices, it is highly challenged, right? And Peter at that time started with insurance had a history of 200 years. China had no insurance 30 years ago, and so he had a lot of best practice to learn from. He went to Taiwan, he went to Japan, he went to Hong Kong, which is just right next to, right, they're all right near next to him, to take best practices to bring into China. So Peter started with making Ping An not a family business, but a very international business from day one. And then in the second decade, we purchased Shenzhen Development Bank. Now it's called Ping An Bank, and Ping An Bank is one of the largest bank in China. So second decade, we became an end-to-end financial institution. We have 28 subsidiaries now doing all kinds of business, all in the financial institutions area in the second decade. Then in the third decade is the decade that Alibaba starts getting a lot of attention. Tencent and whatever, and JD.com starts getting a lot of attention. So Peter decided that he wants to then become a technology company. And now it's very common. Every company wants to become a technology company. It's very common now. But 10 years ago, it wasn't that telling. 10 years ago, to say this and wanting to do this is crazy to a certain extent. And we invested 1% of our revenue every year on technology without fail for the last 12 years now. And 1% is equivalent to $7 billion. To a tech company, that's okay. Microsoft invested $20 billion in R&D. But for a bank, 1% of our profits, 1% of our revenue is about 10% of our profits, which is actually a lot, right, for a bank to invest in. And for the first 7 years, we actually didn't see any return. If Peter doesn't insist on investing, and a lot of people ask, how is Ping An successful? And that's what I'm here to tell you about how Ping An is successful. We didn't see returns in the first 7 years. First 7 years, we just put in money and it went into the dungeon, nothing came back, right? If Peter has not been persistent that he will see the returns, the last 3 years, we saw tremendous returns. And we made a decision, in the next decade, we will double our R&D. Can you imagine that's 20 to 30% of our profits in the next decade on technology? Today, in the Ping An Group, 7% of revenue comes from the technology line. 93% comes from the traditional business, right? But why did we decide to double our R&D when after 10 years, we only have 7% revenue of the group coming from technology? Why? Because we saw a total shift of customer base, right? The very basic thing, in the past, we had 80 million customers, out of which a small subset are internet customers. We call them internet customers because they use all kinds of technology in one way or the other. That's not our core banking business. But 80 million are our key customers. A small subset is our internet customers. Today is the total opposite. Today we have 550 internet customers and 182 banking customers. So that's the shift. So 35% of our new customers are coming from the technology line, even though revenue is only 7%. 35% of brand new customers are coming from the technology line. And the technology line is growing at 700% year on year, while the banking line is declining at 20% year on year. So that's the reason why we decide to double our investment in the next decade. So since we invested in technology, we were 462 in the Fortune 500 10 years ago, and then every year we moved up 60, 70 positions. So towards the tail end is a little harder. We move up 2 positions to number 29, but we're very proud of our achievements in the last 10 years. They're not attributed to investment in technology alone. There are other things, and I'll share with you. We've also won quite a bit of awards. I won't go through the details. Okay, so what made us successful? Obviously, investing money is one thing, but what's the second most important thing? The second most important thing is that you must have data. And it's very hard to get data from others. So Ping An had the size, we had the data on our own. So when you had enough data in your organization, that's the first thing you do when you want to invest in technology. How to reap the most out of the data that you have, right? So if you take a look at our, okay, I won't go through the revenue profit, but you can see later on I will show you, like, for example, we have an InsurTech solution. Because why? I have 31,000 claims per day. So in a year, I think I have 13 million, I cannot remember the actual number, I think I had about 13 million claims in a year. And then you see customer service, I have 1.36 million cases per day, right? So every day my call center costs, at one point in China, we had almost 200,000 call center agents. Yeah, literally. And so we needed to automate, and we have a lot of data. We have 1 million calls every day, so you realize that customer service call center bots is one of our very strong technology. Our auto claim for insurer is one of the very strong solutions, etc., all based on the data that we have. So this is the Ping An larger organization. So I wanted to tell you where One Connect sits. So I work in One Connect, which is under the financial services ecosystem. So if you look at the triangle on the left-hand side, those are our traditional business. We have insurance line, banking line, asset management line, traditional business. And then on the right-hand side, you have the 5 ecosystems. Earlier, you would have seen the presentation from IBM that is focusing on ecosystems. But a lot of people say focus on ecosystem. Exactly what is focusing on ecosystems, right? So I'll explain a little bit more about how we view it. Everybody's definition is a little different, right? So we have 5 ecosystems that is somehow related with our financial institution business, right? So financial services ecosystem will be the key one because in One Connect, we are the fintech arm of Ping An Group. So we started the ecosystem of financial services because over the 10 years, we've invested so much technology in. Yes, we've gotten new customers, we've gotten a little bit of revenue, but most importantly, we have filed, I think like 10 or 12,000 patents. We filed so many patents that it didn't make sense not to do anything else with them, you know, and just to use for ourselves, you know, that's one. Then the second thing is that we as a group has invested so much money, so much time, have gone through so much difficulties that we feel that if you don't have the deep pocket, you don't have people, you don't have the data, it's very hard for everyone to be able to research on the tech. And therefore, in China, there are 1,200 banks. A lot of them are medium-sized or small. Right, so and they needed technology, they needed help. There was a gap that we could fill. So, and it was also a chance for us to monetize our technology. So One Connect started because of their belief that we could enable the entire China to grow a little faster. And we are the leading financial institution in China. So, you know, getting to the top is hard. Staying on top is harder. How to stay on top? Right, then there are 2 different aspects about how people feel you should stay on top. Peter has an amazing leadership and aspiration that knows that if he wants to stay on top, he cannot be scared of competition. He decided that he will share his technology in order to be continuing to be the first in China. And I'm both amazed and the whole group feels that it is. It comes with a bit of the noble wanting to make sure that China develops as fast as possible. But that's the One Connect ecosystem. And then there's healthcare. We are first insurance, so of course healthcare is important. And then auto, real estate, and smart city. And today, in the interest of time, I'm only going to talk about financial services for One Connect. Then we can skip the, I don't know, you tell me if I do have a chance to come back next year, I'll tell you some other ecosystems on top of the financial institutions. So the 5 ecosystems, the ecosystem definition for us when we first started incubating tech companies, right? So we have 28 companies, 11 of them are tech companies, and they're all relating to one ecosystem. So like financial services, we have, you will see, Lu International is about wealth management, One Connect is about financial tech, and then we have Ping An Pu Hui that is unsecured lending, and then we have a wallet business plus a credit bureau business. So the 5 business around financial services form an ecosystem. Because so initially they function separately, later on you find synergy with each other. That's in a nutshell how we design. So we won't pick a unicorn that's outside of these 5 ecosystems since we prioritize these 5 ecosystems. So, One Connect. When we first started, internally, there was a lot of debates, because people felt that we're giving away our competitive edge. Ping An has come a long way being successful, and if I want to sell this technology away to a smaller bank, I actually don't make a lot of money compared to the research money that we have put in on the technology. And therefore, giving away our competitive edge was highly debated within the organization. But why did we now set up more entities? It started, now we have 4, we have Shenzhen, Shanghai, Singapore, and Indonesia. I am waiting to put Thailand onto the map very, very soon, right? Because we've shown that it works. It is important because of how important knowledge sharing, intelligence, and in the digital age, if you keep to yourself, for sure you're not going to go very far. Over the last, One Connect is now 5 years old. We're entering into our 5th year, and you can see that in China we serve 590 banks. Earlier I told you there's 1,200 banks in China. So slightly reaching 50%, we're at 43% market coverage for China. And you can see that rural banks 31%, commercial banks is at 93%. So out of the large banks in China, we cover 93% market share. Okay, and then 72 insurance customers. Insurance is a little bit lesser. Market coverage for life is 25% and 12% for P&C. And the reason is because Ping An Insurance owns a big part of the market share. And then we don't sell to the second largest. We don't sell to the third largest. And everybody else we share. Yeah, so you minus away the Ping An plus the first 2, then 60% of the China insurance market share is gone from that pie. And then we serve over 100 investment customers and more than 2,600 non-banking financial institutions. Let me see. Okay, so Southeast Asia. We started Southeast Asia only a year ago. And in this year, we first wanted to test how relevant our solutions are, because initially, a lot of customers say, yes, you have done a lot in China, you're very successful in China, but are your solutions really plug and play in Southeast Asia, right? And it's not exactly. I mean, other than changing Chinese language to English, we did other things. We tried it out with the banking customers, with the insurance customers, to see whether or not a good Chinese tech is indeed better for Southeast Asia. I came from an American company all this while. The tech starts from Microsoft people here? The tech comes from Seattle. the first wave of launch is in US. The second wave is in Europe. The third wave will be maybe Singapore, Hong Kong. The fourth wave, then it comes to Southeast Asia. That's technology that's 4 years old, right? It's bug-free for sure, but you got to fit into the box. It's never catered for Southeast Asia. The developers have moved on to the next project, so you can never give Southeast Asia requirements on that product. And that's what frustrates me, because I take care of Southeast Asia through my life. All in my career, Southeast Asia has been a focus. And at that time, I chose to join a Chinese company because we're closer to Southeast Asia. The pace of innovation is faster. Today, if I launch a new product in China, I have the option to bring it over to Southeast Asia in 3 months, if I want to, right? But I'll tell you, the appetite for beta version new tech in China is 10 times more than any customers in Southeast Asia. So if I want to bring, I don't have takers. Even if I want to bring over, I don't have takers. So usually, what is tested in China, maybe last year, that is very successful, it's good to bring to Southeast Asia. We have 4 categories of technologies, and I wanted to show you I want to show you some of the tech that we have. And then given time constraint, we're probably going to skip some of the solutions. The first set of solutions is very popular for Thailand, because BOT right now is trying to get everybody to be in the sandbox for eKYC, open up new accounts via phone and stuff like that. So the first set is on all the cognitive technology. And our eKYC, we call it eKYC Plus, because we believe that in the moment eKYC has been very much talked about, now it's a little bit on the ramp up for mass adoption. The moment it goes up into mass adoption, everybody is going to start realizing it's not enough. That it's not sufficient enough to authenticate. Because why? Even if we don't put in that much people R&D on tech, you'll find that the underground R&D people catch up faster than you, right? Everything that you roll out, somebody's going to try and hack it. For sure, in Ping An, we have 1,000 big data scientists. Big data scientists are very, very professional, only doing big data analysis, with 20,000 R&D AI experts. We have 160,000 software developers. So literally, we've converted ourselves into an IT firm, having the same amount of more IT developers than Microsoft, in fact. Yeah, but nevertheless, so we feel that KYC, the moment is deployed, some security issue is going to come up. So we added voice. We call it eKYC Plus, because we feel that in the future you could use your phone, you could on a little video, it will authenticate your face, you put your card either behind your phone or take a picture, it will be able to authenticate your card, read your details, match with whatever bureau, and then you are able to say your name and you authenticate your voice. And you need all parameters. So voice is not one parameter. You can synthesize voices. The moment you hear enough of a person, you can synthesize voices. So it needs to be one of the parameters. And then we have a whole bunch of consumer lending solutions, unsecured lending solutions. I'm sure also in Thailand you'll be very interested in. InsurTech solution, a whole bunch of blockchain solutions, as well as open banking solutions. So 1 year, I was dying to show you our first customers in Thailand. But unfortunately, PR is a bit slow. We haven't signed the PR form, so I had to take the logos out, right? So in Thailand, actually, we're doing one of the best region. You notice that today, if everybody understands me well, all the slides are in English, right? Comparing to Vietnam, even Indonesia, the ability in English language already sets you apart. Right, I find very excited to put Thailand on the map for us because of how proactive the customers are, how receptive you are to tech. So Thailand, we're doing the best. You'll realize that most of the countries, we just secure one top customer as a first customer. In Thailand, I already have 3 of the top 10 banks as our first customer. So definitely need to speed up with regards to setting up an entity in Thailand. In Indonesia, we're also doing very well because Indonesia has the largest unbanked population. So there's a lot of demand for unsecured lending solutions. So let's take a look at the solutions. So facial recognition, I spoke a lot about it. And all of you would have seen it, right? It's basically just, it matches parameters. It doesn't match an image to an image, right? It matches the parameters on your face with the parameters. So you can change your hair color, or maybe if you gain a lot of weight, perhaps it will fail. I don't know. I think if you gain a lot of weight, it might fail. You change your hair color, logically, it should still pass, right? So facial recognition. We've used it 2 billion times in China, and with Chinese faces, very, very accurate. When Thailand is the first country we launched outside of China, yeah. And initially, we were not too confident. We had our very first customer who took the leap of faith in Ping An and decided to try us out. In less than 3 weeks' time, we gotten to the same accuracy level that we want. The only thing that we couldn't do, I remember the customer asking me, is whether or not I can still recognize a person that has gone through a transgender operation. And I said, I'm not tested. If we get enough data points to come and try, maybe we will know. But it worked beautifully in Thailand after 3 weeks of pilot with the first customer. So very fast, second customer, third customer. Today for Thailand, we're very accurate. With Indonesia customers, we reach the same accuracy as China as well. Malaysia also getting there. Malaysians are a little darker. So our algorithm for facial recognition does better in fairer faces since the technology comes from China, and a little less accurate when it comes to the darker skin. So we're trying it out in India right now. The moment we can do India, we'll be able to do everywhere in the world. So voice print. So a lot of customers likes our eKYC Plus, but they didn't collect a voice print of their customers. So we now put voice prints in the call center, not because we anticipated the customer's problem. It's only because we had 200,000 call center agents in Ping An, and we had 1 million calls coming in and out. So we needed some level of efficiency for call centers. So we put all the call recordings, we collected all the data on the call recordings, and then we choose the nicest, sexiest voice with the best response, and we put it in a robot, right? So effectively, you are creating the best performing call center agent. You know, a lot of people think that nowadays, actually, if you call a hotline or a hotline calls you, I'm pretty sure most of you cannot tell whether it's a robot or a human being, right? Unlike in the past. In the past, of course, you can tell. Now it's very hard to tell because they sound like human beings. You know, we add all kinds of things like, you know, all kinds of things in there so that it sounds very human. Today, we have 30% of our calls inbound, so outbound 100% done by the robot. Outbound calls are easy. I call you to remind Mr. So-and-so you own the bank X amount of dollars, and the due date is today, you know, please remember to make your payment, blah, blah, blah. So the outbound calls are easy to do via robots. 100% of outbound calls are done by the robot, and then 30% of inbound calls are handled by the bot today. So our voice, the beauty about voice is that it is, I don't care whether you're speaking Thai or Spanish or Chinese or English. That's what the data scientist tells me. I actually do not know until I test it out. You know, I'm very keen to test it out in Thailand. It's hard to find a customer for this because you need to have a lot of call recordings. And a lot of customers don't keep the call recordings somehow. So if you don't have all the call recordings, we cannot analyze, we cannot try to automate. But the moment we try this out, we will know whether the data scientist tells me is correct, that voice is language agnostic. Do one research and it applies all around the world. Unsecured lending. So this is the other one that is very, very relevant to Southeast Asia. We do a lot of consumer unsecured lending. And because, you know, the fintechs are all coming in, right? I was just reading an article I said that I'll speak a little slower, but I think I'm speeding up quite a bit, huh? Okay. Pardon me. This morning I was just reading an article that says that Paytm, you know, the Alibaba in India has a fintech payment company called Paytm, and they're buying over a bank called Yes Bank. So the article reads like, now the fintechs are buying banks. It used to be that the banks are buying fintechs. Now it has turned the other way around, that the fintechs are buying the banks. You know, I think a lot of trend is putting a lot of pressure on the banks, right? And because the fintechs are going after the unbanked population, so this technology, every bank that we spoke to love to work with us on unsecured lending because this is what the fintechs are very good at. And at One Connect, we don't compete with banks. Banks are our best friends. We have our internal, because I'm only 7% of our group's revenue. So fintech is not, well, the Alibaba and the Grab, they are the tech fin, right? They started from technology. We are the really fintech. We started from a financial institution. So the tech business gives us knowledge about what's happening. It makes our technology more international. We're better off as an organization that's more balanced in research. We know how to service our customers better. Ping An is more international, but it's not our core business. Our core business is a financial institution business. So we have one of the unicorns. If you earlier I said we have 4 unicorns. One of them is a decacorn. The definition of a unicorn is when you have $1 billion revenue or valuation. And if you have more than $10 billion valuation, then you are a decacorn. So Puhui is our first decacorn. Okay, so you can see that our unsecured lending in China, we're the largest unsecured lending in China. We have 15 years of unsecured loans management, and out of which first maybe 7 years, we don't make money. we shut, like any other bank, we try to do unsecured lending. The NPL goes too high, we shut it down. You know, we try again with a different model. It loses money and we shut it down. You know, so we shut down twice. We open up 850 kind of outlets, branches, to do interviews, to chase for money, to do collections, 800 odd branches. And still, it was getting to be such an asset-heavy and high-risk portfolio that is not making money. And I'm sure a lot of banks would resonate that this is a hard piece, right? And that's why the fintechs are going after this piece, because it's difficult for the banks, right? But we felt that we found the solution for this over the last 5 years. So today, our unsecured loan book, for longest time, almost 10 years, we tried our loan book stayed at $5 billion. And today we are $55 billion unsecured loan book in China. So we're 1.3 times bigger than Ant Financial, which is from Alibaba, 2.7 times more than Weilitai, which is from Tencent, and 3.6 times bigger than Lending Club, which is the largest unsecured in the US. Okay, I will skip this. This basically tells you the module that we have in the platform. Okay? And I will just tell you one aspect of technology. Altogether in this platform, I have almost 100 patents on the lending platform. So you can imagine the amount of technology that goes into that platform. It's not easy to be successful in unsecured lending. You don't put in one solution and you can be successful. It's just not that simple, right? The amount of, a lot of SaaS version of lending platforms that goes like build a software and they sell it to you, pay as you go. We're different from that level of Indian solutions. They are that level of sophistication, right? Our level of sophistication in this platform, it will take a day to tell you what's in that technology. So I'm only going to tell you one aspect, which is called micro-expression technology. So unsecured lending requires a lot of alternative data. If you do your usual lending, you probably look at a scorecard, maybe 10 parameters, whether you have a job, what family you have a stable income, etc., etc. There may be 10 parameters on a standard weightage for risk score. We looked at 2,000 to 5,000 parameters of a person before we decide whether we want to lend him a loan. right, 2,000 to 5,000 alternative data points. And one of it is from micro-expression. We do remote interviews, and I think in Thailand, actually, this is going to be proven to be maybe popular after the KYC, because KYC does remote interviews as well, right? So once you open up an account, you already can do this remote thing. So this remote interview basically analyzes your expressions as you do the interview. So we have a set of anti-fraud rules. You know, the Chinese are very good at gaming the system, right? So over time, your anti-fraud rules grow to be a humongous set of anti-fraud rules after people try and game the system. So based on anti-fraud rules, you know what people lie about during an interview. So like, for example, the first thing you will do is you will never say your real address, because otherwise later on when you default, I can go to your house and ask for the loan back, right? So you will not say your real address. So we have on record your whatever address you have already asked for the loans, but we will still want to ask you that question during the micro-expression interview. Why? Because I want to see your expression when you tell me about the address. And then, back end in the app, it will look at the Google Maps or and ask you the next question after you indicated the address, like where is the nearest train station, something you must know, that if it's not a true address, maybe you won't know, right? And the intention is to bring out anxiousness, anxiety, whatever, so that you can then have red flags. So take note that this is not a fact that you are not honest. This is just a red flag for the loan assessor to understand and make a decision. Ultimately, a human still makes the decision whether you want to approve the loan or not. I have a video on this, so let's just play the video.
Micro-expression recognition-based interview support system. Based on the borrower's application information and using knowledge graph technology, the system automatically generates a series of interview questions. It intelligently searches for answers throughout the internet, assisting risk control team with verification. The system establishes the applicant's emotional baseline. With the help of micro-expression analysis technology, the system identifies abnormal emotions of applicants.
What's the name of the school near your home?
The primary school affiliated to Fudan University is near my home. The system converts the applicant's answer into texts, which speech recognition technology, reducing the workload of risk control team. With the help of text entailment technology, the system intelligently tells the correctness of answers.
What hospitals are near your home?
The system provides optimal questioning strategy according to the correctness of answers and results of micro-expression analysis. It automatically generates a review report, making everything simpler. Micro-expression recognition-based interview support system can access banks' internal systems in just seconds. Assist risk control team with better decisions. Reduce the cost of employee training. Improve quality and consistency of decision-making across the organization. Reduce non-performing loan rate. Gamma Lab. Professionalism makes work easier.
Okay. So we have already implemented this in Philippines, Malaysia, of course, China definitely. In Thailand, actually not yet. Vietnam we're implementing very soon. And Indonesia, of course, sorry, I missed out Indonesia. So Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, and Malaysia. 4 countries we have implemented this. And this is regardless whether, it comes with every one of our lending platform. And because the weightage of this decision depends on how well we know the culture of the people, right? So it will take time. So you first put it in and you put the weightage as very small, maybe you just want to collect data first. First collect data and understand first. And then later on you adjust the weightage and the questions. The questions in there is also very important because then you understand how the locals, the sophistication of of the fraudsters in the country you need to understand. Then you can optimize the questionnaire to ask. So we have a lot of InsurTech solution, but in the interest of time, I'll just maybe show you the claim one. So this particular one is called Auto Smart Claim, right? Basically, when 95% of clashes or accidents on the road are minor, right? And so we train the AI algorithm on a phone app that allows you to pick up, image recognize the model of the car, then recognize the parts that's damaged, to estimate how much the repair cost would be. Because a lot of times it's a very minor crash, and then but the workshop is going to charge you a lot of money. So almost in every country, I've hardly seen any P&C auto insurer making money, right? Most P&C insurers don't make money, right? Because, but we are the largest P&C insurer in China, and also the most profitable one. We think our profitability in Ping An is probably highest record in the world. I've spoken to almost every global insurer who were probably the highest, best P&L in the world, right? So we collected all the years of claims of data, and we did this app so that we can help to assess the damage. And because in China, we have also workshop costs, labor costs, a whole lot of other costs. So we can package all the workshop costs, labor costs in there to actually holistically come to an actual amount that you will get. And in China, people want their cash immediately. So in some countries, you may not need your cash immediately. Like in Singapore, you want to make sure that your Mercedes-Benz is repaired well, rather than getting your money right away. But in China, people want their money right away. So on the app, it will propose the amount, and if you accept what the app tells you, then you get your money within the day, right? And today, 98% of our claims are all paid within the same day, because people want money on the of course, if they accept it and in the end they lose money because they want to repair and it's much more expensive, the next time they won't accept, right? So even if I give them a bit of buffer in such a way that when they repair, they're going to in the end be able to pocket some money, still is better, is a win-win situation for the consumer, as well as for the insurance company. We reduce our loss rate by 6% with this. Okay, so I'll show you a video on this.
Flash has brought us to a new era of mobile self-service claims. While we enjoy the efficiency of Ping An Property Insurance is leveraging the technology powers of One Connect to roll out the next generation of claims solutions that will transform the experience of auto insurance customers.
Hello, this is Ping An Insurance. How can I help you? My car is hit. What should I do?
We immediately retrieve a car owner's information from the caller ID and verify the true identity of the car owner via voice print. During the phone conversation, case details will be recorded automatically before you notice who you are talking to. All you have to do is shoot a 360-degree video around your car and upload it as guided. And the system will extract key photos from the thousands of frames of the video to identify the vehicle model and intelligently analyze the extent of damage, before automatically producing a price list of the needed parts and working hours for compensation transparency and ease. The car video is used to build a 3D model of the damaged vehicle for visualized deconstruction of damaged areas and precise calculation of internal parts damage. The nearest maintenance shop will then be recommended to you, with navigation service and car ride service in one button. Lastly, smart payment is used, leading to end-to-end integration of AI technology and claims process. Today's technology promotes Ping An's process, and tomorrow's application will build our common future. AI Smart Instant Claims, provided by OneConnect.
Okay. Any interest in blockchain? Otherwise, I'm going to skip so that I keep myself on time. Anybody is really interested in blockchain? Yes, right. Okay, very quickly then. I'll jump it. So we got this award, actually the first award, which is the ASEAN Banker Blockchain Distributed Ledger Platform Award in Bangkok, if I don't remember right. In Bangkok, yeah. So we gotten a few awards that we're very proud of. Number one, AAA given us the China FinTech Startup of the Year award, and it's largely due to our blockchain technology. We used to be part of a consortium, but then a consortium was hard to innovate on the blockchain. We hired a lot of blockchain experts in order to build our enhanced layer of what the current blockchain cannot do. So this is our first project. We implemented Asia's first national level blockchain platform for Hong Kong Monetary Authority. And this is to put all the trading partners, banks and trading partners on one single platform so as to track trading data, double financing, etc. And the beauty about blockchain, if I can just summarize, right? The tech is not it's not tested for scale, right? It's not tested for scale. But the beauty of it, why does people not give up? Is because, like for example, we implemented the Hong Kong Trade Finance platform in 6 months, out of which 4 months is aligning the 14 banks on business requirements, 2 months on IT. In the past, if people has been in tech for a while, I mean, I've been in tech for 25 years. When I first started, the technology to integrate people is called EDI. It takes 9 months to integrate 2 parties on EDI, you know. Not to mention 14 banks on one platform, it cannot be done in 2 months. Basically, for blockchain, I can onboard a whole big ecosystem in a very short period of time. That's the beauty of blockchain. The moment I can test the platform up to scale, then we would have achieved a whole lot that the current technology cannot today. So this is Asia's first one. Globally, the first one is in Europe, which is called We.Trade, equivalent of this platform in Europe is called We.Trade. And they launched 2 weeks ahead of us, so we're very, very unhappy with this, but they managed to launch 2 weeks ahead of us. So we just connected We.Trade with Hong Kong MA's Trade Connect. So this is what we're currently doing. We are connecting different types of blockchain. Their blockchain in Europe is done by IBM or Ethereum, another vendor, right? So we connected different types of blockchain together as a first pilot. We hope to be able to help ASEAN create some of our ASEAN blockchains that's on trade finance. Because if you remember that ASEAN, when it's connected in trade, we're the 4th largest economy in the world. But people are not worried about that, you know, because it took us 15 years and we can never be one region somehow, you know, we're still 13 countries all separate. The moment you can connect people via different blockchain platforms, then I think AEC's vision can be enhanced. So this is also something that we did in China. So right now we're researching very hard on cross-border blockchains. So within a country, connection of blockchains is already done. Beyond a country, different types of blockchain, non-blockchain, etc. So we're helping China to connect internationally. We've already connected to Europe, we've connected to Korea, right now in the midst of connecting to Singapore. Okay, I won't talk about supply chain financing, but roughly that's about blockchain. I will skip Open API and maybe just conclude. So that in the event you have questions, I can do some questions. So I will just summarize in 2 slides on key takeaway on what I'm here to tell you about, which is Ping An's transformation journey, right? So basically, it takes 4 things to kickstart or enable ourselves to transform. The 4 things is business scenarios. So we deploy, I don't sell any tech that's not deployed within the Ping An group. That's our value proposition. If I research something in the lab and I give it first to our customer to test, then I'm any other fintech on the road, right? So we deploy internally all our business scenarios. It is our chairman's mandate that within the Ping An Group, they have to use all the technology that we sell in One Connect, right? So we create lots of business scenarios. We have massive real-life data. So the data that we have, you see that over the years, I say I have 182 customers, but if I were to, if I count them distinct, 182 customers. If I don't count them distinct, I count them duplicate across all my 28 subsidiaries, I have 880 million customers. China has 1.5 billion population, right? That's more than half of China's data points. And then, of course, long-term capital and talents, right? So 7 research labs, 23,000 technical talents, more than 1,000 top scientists. And then lastly, very, very important on transformation to be successful is on culture, right? So we do a few things very deliberately. Number one, we make sure we have females everywhere within the organization. Diversity is very important for innovation, right? So, and this is especially true if you're going through a lot of transformation, right? On our board level is 33% female representation at the board level. In your largest US company at the board level, maximum you are 5% female representation, right? So it is very important that right from the top, we are well represented in female leadership. In One Connect, we are also about 50-50. And then the second is young people, millennials. We are 60% millennials, and we've kept to that ratio, about 60% millennials in Ping An Group as well as One Connect, right? And then the last, you see that we have financial veterans, which we call the LAMPs. Peter says that financial institutions, he has lamps because if you are a bank, you are using people's money, right? So you need to be prudent. You need to think. It's important that you continue. You don't take too much risk when you are taking people's deposits, right? You are regulated, etc., etc. So it's important that he still have lamps in the traditional business, but he also wants to hire wolves. In the technology, we have 11 tech company, and he wants to hire wolves, right? So he says his everyday job is to make sure the lambs communicate with the wolves. Yes, to make sure that the lambs doesn't starve the wolf, because the lambs will say, no, you cannot do this. And then if the wolf cannot implement, then they will starve, right? Or the wolf doesn't eat up the lambs, right? So otherwise, the tech people, then the fintech will start buying the banks very soon. So his everyday job is to make sure that we are harmonious as one. And now that we're 10 years already investing this culture shift, today I'm very proud to say that I am very impressed in my last review at the Ping An board review, whereby there's a lot of talents in our traditional business that says that they are very glad that Ping An has given them the opportunity to learn about the latest technology. Yeah, so I think the blending over time is coming, but it does take 10 years of effort to blend that culture. And then lastly, I'll explain the 安字 in the middle, right? If you know Chinese, the 安字, the one on top means position of power, is the 官字. 官字头 means that the word on top is positions of power. And then the 女字 below is a lady, it means a woman. Overall, this 安字 means women in positions of power. Yes, and that's our Ping An's 安字 and our belief. Okay, so that ends my presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes. Actually, she told me she is happy to answer your question. Anyone have a question?
Yes, happy to answer any question.
Okay, I have one in my hand. It's done. Could you tell us how Ping An used the health data of the customer to work on the premium or to other health services?
So health tech piece is a separate entity, but we do use a lot of health data. We do a lot of work there because insurance is a very difficult business. Insurance people, your customers come to you when they are sick or they are dying on their dead, right? So you want to be able to have more information about them when they are living. So it's important you engage your customers in the insurance line way ahead. So we have a wellness program that we had an investor for, if you know the company called Discovery in South Africa, they're very famous for their wellness program. So it basically it collects a lot of data from the individual, and then it gives discounts on your insurance premium, you know, whether or not you did your health check, whether you had no claims, whether you are wearing your Fitbit and you're walking 8,000 steps a day or whatever not, yeah. So for those, and then it gives a different premium, a lower premium. Mm-hmm. But we also realized that the activity rate is maybe 15%. So very small population of people are willing to be more healthy just to get a discount. Yeah, so there's only that much you can encourage. Most people, they will only work hard when they have a red flag for a health issue, unfortunately. So the second thing that we're doing, other than giving them a discount, we are also trying to see whether or not we could get more hospitals data or more profiles of people. Like, for example, we collaborate with the hospitals and the government in China, and then we categorize the people in China that says that this category of people, the amount of food they eat, the amount of exercise they do, they are high risk profile for some diabetes disease. And then we flag people up for high risk. Based on their behavior, their lifestyle, we flag people for high risk. And when we flag people for high risk, they do more than the discount percent. The discount is 15%, probably 30% will take some action. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Any question? And silent mean you can describe everything clearly. Thank you very much, Ms. Tan Bin Lu, for sharing this very useful topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.